Picture this. We're heading back to the 1990s, to a farmhouse out in Haryana. But let me tell you, this is not your typical ghost story. No, forget about spirits and spooky old houses. The horror we're about to dive into, it's way, way more real and chillingly human. Yeah, what we're really talking about here is greed. You know, that thing we've all seen, maybe even felt. This story just rips away all the nice layers of loyalty and love to show you the terrifying, dark places people will go, all for money. It turns this quiet, normal farmhouse into a stage for some serious psychological terror. All right, so every story's got a starting point, right? Well, this one kicks off with just a single phone call, a call that unleashes an absolute nightmare. So let's meet the main players caught in the middle of this whole dark mess. Okay, first up, we've got Raghav. He's a rich businessman, but here's the catch. He's got a bad heart. Then there's his wife, Mohini, living with him back in Delhi. And finally, rounding out our trio is Raju, the caretaker. This guy has been nothing but loyal to Raghav for a solid 10 years. 3 people, all tied together by trust. Or at least, that's what it looks like on the surface. And here's where things get really interesting. This is the catalyst for everything. Raghav gets this, totally normal-looking official letter. It's just a notice about scheduled power outages at the farmhouse, every single night from 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. Sounds like just a minor pain, doesn't it? Well, in this story, those 6 hours of pure darkness, they become a weapon. So, the stage is set. And now, the horror begins. And the very first person to experience it is the one guy left all alone in the dark, our loyal caretaker, Raju. So Raja makes this frantic call to his boss, Raghav. He's totally panicked. He says it started small, just this creepy feeling that someone was watching from the gate. Then he sees a laughing face in the window while he's eating dinner. Then he hears someone moving around in the fields outside. And then, bam, at exactly 9 p.m., just like the notice said, the power cuts out. And in the pitch black, with just a little emergency lamp, he swears he saw a headless woman standing right next to him. Can you imagine? He's so terrified he spends the rest of the night hiding out in the stable. A headless woman? I mean, come on, is it really a ghost? Raghav is pretty skeptical, but he's also worried about his caretaker, so he decides he's gotta go check it out for himself. And he has absolutely no idea he's walking straight into a trap. So Raghav pulls up to the farmhouse, and it's just silent. Eerily silent. This place is usually filled with Raju's music, but now, nothing. And let's not forget, Raghav's got that heart condition, which makes this whole situation 1,000 times more dangerous for him. He eventually finds Raju, who's basically hiding in the stables, completely convinced the place is haunted by some evil spirit. Raghav just kind of blows it off, thinks Raju's overreacting, and goes inside to lie down. But then, it starts happening to him. He hears this disembodied laughter echoing around. A glass shatters in another room, and then, right on schedule, at 9 p.m. sharp, the lights flicker and die. He thinks, okay, I'm out of here. But guess what? His car keys are still inside the house, so he has to force himself to go back in, and that's when he sees it, a figure standing in the dark kitchen. For a guy with a weak heart, the shock is just too much. He collapses. Fast forward a few hours. It's 3 a.m., and the lights suddenly flicker back on. Raghav slowly comes to. He's on the cold kitchen floor. He looks up, and the person standing over him isn't some ghost, it's not a phantom, it's Raju, his loyal caretaker of 10 years. The whole haunting, it was all an act, and Raju was the star of the show. But hold on, Raju might have been the actor, but he wasn't the one pulling the strings. As he's standing there over a completely shocked Raghav, his phone starts to ring. And this one call is about to blow the lid off this whole thing and reveal the true mastermind. Right on cue, Raju's phone buzzes. Raghav, putting the pieces together, makes him put it on speakerphone. And the voice that comes through the speaker? It's his wife, Mohini. And her first words? They aren't, "Is everything okay?" No, they're cold, they're calculating. She just wants to know one thing. Did you kill him? She wants to know if their little scare tactic worked. If Raghav's heart finally gave out. So what was the price for throwing away a decade of loyalty? What's the going rate for murdering your boss, your friend? 5%. That's it. Mohini offered Raju a measly 5% of Raghav's huge fortune to, literally, scare her husband to death. But here's the thing.
Mohini and Raju made one huge, fatal mistake. They completely underestimated Raghav. They saw him as this weak, helpless victim. They had absolutely no clue that he was about to take their entire plan and flip it right on its head. Lying on the floor, Raghav looks up at Raju, the man who just tried to kill him, and he lays it all out. He gets it now. The whole thing clicks into place. The convenient power cuts, the fake haunting, all of it. He realizes he's in the middle of a deadly game of chess. Mohini's the queen, calling the shots. Raju, you're just the pawn. But he's the king, and the king is still standing. And so right there, he makes a counteroffer. A brilliant one. He's like, okay, so she offered you 5% to kill me? How about I offer you 10%? He doubles her offer. Not to kill her, but for a much different task, to turn on the queen when she shows up to collect her winnings. So now you've got these two competing plans, a total showdown. On one side, you have Mohini's plot. Use fear, use a pawn, get the money. On the other side, you've got Raghav's countermove. Use that exact same pawn to turn the tables, expose the whole thing, and write his own ending. And sure enough, Mohini arrives, probably feeling pretty pleased with herself. But Raju, now loyal to a new higher bidder, does exactly what Raghav told him to do. He attacks her. And as she's lying there dying, Raghav drops the final devastating bombshell, the ultimate checkmate. He tells her the entire scheme. The betrayal, the murder, it was all for a farmhouse he didn't even own anymore. He'd sold it a week ago. The fortune they were killing for, it was already safe and sound in his bank account. And with that final, unbelievable twist, the whole sad story comes to an end. It just leaves behind a trail of destruction, where everyone involved pays an absolutely terrible price for their greed. So let's break it down. Mohini, she's murdered by the very pawn she thought she could control. And Raju, he realizes he threw away 10 years of loyalty, became a murderer, all for a piece of a prize that didn't even exist. He can't live with the guilt, so he takes his own life. And Raghav? Well, Raghav walks away. He's the only one left standing. He's got all the money from the sale, and to the rest of the world, he's just the poor, grieving victim. You know, at the start, I said this was a horror story worse than any ghost story, and I think it's pretty clear it delivered on that promise. It just leaves you with this one final, chilling question to think about. When human greed can create a real-life horror show like this, who are the real monsters? Are they the ghosts we imagine in the dark, or are they the ones living right inside of us?